Hello everyone, I'm Rashita. Just when we thought Bollywood is not making as many films on racism and discrimination, Nicholas Kharkonkar came out with Axone. Today we have with us Sayani Gupta, Lin Laishram and Vinay Pathak to join us and discuss about their Netflix film. Firstly, tell me, all three of you can answer it one by one. I want to know that not many makers and not many a times there is a film made on this topic, on this subject. And I think it takes some amount of bravery also to get it to the audience. Why do you think this happens in the Indian film industry?
Pathak ji?
Are you really asking that question? That why are you asking me why we make the same kind of films all our life?
No.
That's the question.
That's not what I'm asking. I'm asking that why is there still a little bit of hesitance in the industry to make films on topics that are relatable, that are true, but of course have hard-hitting subjects like this?
Well, maybe the answer lies in the question that I just asked: why we make same kind of films all our life? Why are we averse to telling new stories? Why are we averse to pushing the boundaries? Why are we averse to not pushing the envelope? I don't know. I'm no expert, but that's how it happens. But fortunately, in the last 10, 20 odd years, and I mean there were filmmakers even before that, but there were far and few. But in the last 20 years, I feel it's happening that we have a new set of storytellers, who have just landed in this new tinsel town, as you could call it, and they want to tell their stories. And oh my God, how fantastic is that? And all different kind of stories have been coming out for the last 20 odd years. Yes, it's not mainstream, but you can also see how it has influenced the storytelling even in the mainstream cinema. So now you would see कि अरे भाई वो उस फिल्म में मतलब टॉयलेट की बात हो रही है, उस फिल्म में सैनिटरी नैपकिन्स की बात हो रही है, ठीक है, उनके अपने मिलियू में अपने तरीके से, लेकिन आप देखिए कि इसका प्रभाव अक्सर होता है कि मेन स्ट्रीम सिनेमा का प्रभाव होता है इंडिपेंडेंट सिनेमा पर, लेकिन यहाँ पे आप कह सकती हैं पिछले 5-7 सालों में कि उनको लग रहा है कि अरे वो कहानी प्रधान फिल्म है. तो अब धीरे धीरे हमारा जो मेन स्ट्रीम सिनेमा है, जो कि आज से नहीं कई सालों से सॉन्ग एंड डांस फिल्म रहा है, और मैं उसकी बुराई नहीं कर रहा हूँ, नो, राइटली सो, that's the majority of our cinema. We are a culture like that. But having said that, you could see the influx, you could see the influence of independent cinema, influence of alternate kind of a storytelling. You could see the influx of and the influence of all different kinds of art influencing our mainstream. And I think it's a great thing that's happening. As I said, it's not happening as much, but happening. That is my understanding.
Yeah, that's true.
If I may add to what Vinay said actually, and so rightly put, that I think it was said that the audience ऐसी ही फिल्में चाहती है, and they want to watch these kind of film. That's why we are having to make this film. And I think that's, first of all, you can't underestimate your audience, because the audience is actually very smart. And with what has happened with the OTT platforms and also just internet, that people have access to stories and
multiplexes.
And multiplexes.
And multiplexes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So with such, the mediums of watching films have expanded, and hence the audience is also getting exposed to all kinds of cinema, not only cinema from your own country and regional cinema, but also films that are being made in different parts of the world and different corners of the world, So there is truly a cultural exchange, and the bar is getting set high. And having said that, there are a lot of times when, as an investor in a film or as a producer, it was understood that a film will only work with a certain kind of a star. or with certain kind of stories, which is actually very sad, especially in our country, because we are such a diverse country. You go to every person, he or she will have at least 5 to 7 different, completely different, interesting stories to tell, but none of that find representation in our mainstream cinema. You walk like literally 50 kilometers, the reality changes, but we don't tell those stories, which are our stories, which are truly Indian. And there is not one thing which is Indian, right? There are some 20 different Indias in one India, because culturally we are so diverse, which is our strength and beauty. And there is also so much talent, not only as actors from different parts of India, but also as storytellers, as people who belong to different cultures, So unfortunately, that representation doesn't happen in the mainstream, but that is changing, because right now, it's, as Vinay said, in the last 5 to 7 years, it's been proven that irrespective of how big the star is, it doesn't mean the film will do well. If the story works, if it's a touching, heartening story, and if the storytelling comes from an honest, pure place, because cinema is universal, human emotions are universal, and if a story is made well, if it touches people, it will work, and that's why Ayushmann Khurrana's films always tend to work, because he always chooses to do films like that, So now that thing of mainstream or commercial films, or what is indie, or what is parallel cinema, those lines are thinning, right? It's blurring, because it's no longer really set in stone, Now you see big actors doing smaller films, big stars coming to smaller films also. So because you've realized that you don't need a lot of money to tell certain stories, And with the OTT platform, you have films like Axone, which have the have the platform to come, and you also have films like, as I was saying, films like Article 15, which 10 years ago nobody could think of making a film like that as a commercial big film, but you have films like that also. So I think we are in a positive direction, but we still have a long way to go.
Rashita, I've been big fan of Vinay Pathak. Like, he's been doing like films like Das Vidanya, Ghosla ka Ghosla, things like that, and it was I never thought that I would like to this, especially the indie culture, indie films will grow to this extent where we're releasing on platforms like Netflix and releasing on the same day as Mr. Amitabh Bachchan's movie, and doing well, parallelly. And this is a very big achievement we have come with the grace of God, like having OTT, to have our, I don't think if we were releasing today on theaters, I don't know how it would do, but we're doing great on this platform, on Netflix. So why aren't they making more films? Why aren't they doing, is my understanding would be the cultural differences is very big. I mean, there's a very, there's very little similarity with the rest of the country and the northeast part of the country. So I feel the interactions are very less. The understanding of the culture, the interactions of the culture, it's very, very minimal. But with growing, openness of people from our side also, and the mainland people, everything should be, they should start communicating more. And one thing I keep pointing out is education system. Our education system needs to, put in more of our history. There's so much to learn about. Every state has something to tell us. Tripura has a huge, royal family. Shillong has a great musician. Manipur has great sportsmen. Kohima, Nagaland has been, the biggest battle was fought in Kohima. So we have history, and so these stories, these knowledge, GK should be brought out to to the rest of the world and start learning about each other, not only about the rest of the India, but also these places. Is what I feel.
That's great.
And hence people will write more stories about us.
Okay, that's great. Also, to be to be a part of this film, which has a very important story, a very important subject in it, did you also feel the responsibility and added responsibility to, to be an actor in this film?
The question to me?
Yeah, the question, yeah, you can answer it first and then we can, ask everyone else
also. I did not understand the question. You said you think that I felt an added responsibility to be a part of the film?
Yes.
I think being part of any film is a responsibility.
Yeah.
You need to read the script. That's your first responsibility as an actor. You need to read the script, and then you need to read the script again. एक बार में पढ़ाई से आप पास, इसके लिए अच्छी पढ़ाई करनी पड़ेगी. सारी जिंदगी मेरी तरह का आलसी स्टूडेंट भी एक्टर बनके मतलब सीख गया है कि तो फिर नंबर कम आएंगे परीक्षा में अगर हम इसका अध्ययन ठीक से ना करें तो. So if you talk about a social responsibility to be a part of a film like this, yes, but that responsibility goes with every film.
Okay.
I mean, of course, this is a film that is the subtext is racism, but any good film, any good script, in social milieu, if it's talking about a human story, there's a whole lot, at stake, vis-a-vis all the characters and the story. So yes, when you invest yourself in a story and when you take responsibility to tell the story to as many people who are ready to listen to you, you have a responsibility to theatre, and when you go out on stage and you're telling a story, you have a responsibility to all the audiences who are watching you. You better be diligent.
Absolutely.
You better be honest. Better be prepared. You offhandish doing anything is, I think, is card. It's really sad.
Yeah.
Okay. Sayani, what about you?
I absolutely, I couldn't have agreed with Vinay more. Of course, it's your responsibility, and I feel as actors we are extremely. I mean, of course, there are times that you don't get work, and everyone has different realities. But once you do, and you get recognized, actors have very, very cushioned lives. Also, we get even on a film set. I think everyone else actually at least physically works way harder than we do. We get paid the most amount of money. We get really well taken care of with the best kind of, like all kinds of, we almost get spoiled. There are people giving us tea, coffee, water also in our hands. So if you can't honestly and truthfully do why people, what you've been hired for, then it's a pity, But having said that, and also, all of us, I feel, have chosen a profession which we didn't think would be easy to make it in, but we do this because we love doing it, and it's truly something that nothing else would have given us as much joy, honestly. So then there is no reason why you won't work hard and you would give it everything you can. Having said that, in this film for me, it was there are certain times where you play certain characters where you have a responsibility, of course, to completely do it authentically, because you don't want to be, at least it happens for me, and that I felt strongly when I was playing, say, Hina in Jolly LB, or Gora in Article, and also here, because when you place, especially people who are from the marginalized sections, or people who have a certain kind of reality, which is their reality today, I have the responsibility of portraying it authentically. So I, first of all, seem absolutely like that person and not an actor doing a good job, but actually somebody who's living that life. And that I feel has to happen. And because, in Axone, I am playing somebody who's from a different ethnicity, who has a different kind of an accent and a way of talking, a completely different way to express a body language, is completely different. Like there is nothing from my own life that I could have that actually I thought of when I thought of Upasana.
Yeah.
There were things that I took from people, and that was the process that sort of made me feel like I have to do it, because in the film and otherwise I play somebody who's not exactly from the community and yet trying to fit into the community. And once you see the film, you will know what I'm saying. So I didn't, of course, want to stand out like a sore thumb, and I knew I was part of an ensemble with stunning actors, absolutely, who also had the authenticity of being from that place, and I wasn't. So I had to pull my socks up and just get in and try to do it. And today, honestly, I'm just relieved. Yeah, I'm just happy, and I dressed up because I'm just relieved that people are saying that you've done it correctly. And
Yeah.
I think I never really looked for validation for this film. I think the audience's validation was very important. People who I represent, who I try to look like or speak like, that was important, I think, for me to know, and I'm glad it happened. That's good, yeah. Very grateful.
Only just adding on to that thing which you're just talking about, because my next question was for you about that. I read a lot of, a lot of reviews, a lot of interviews. Everyone I, came across, every piece of writing, it had written that you literally aced the role of a Northeastern girl. And you yourself just mentioned right now that you were a little, unsure about it. You just wanted a validation, which of course came in today. But what kind of preparation did, you undergo for being so realistic? It was so natural looking. How did you ace it?
I think a lot of it comes from the script, and when you have a good script, and it was beautifully written, very, very funny, entertaining. Also, there was a lot of poignant moments and layers in the script. So when the script is so well written, it gives you most of the things that you need to know. And that actually gave Upasana, because Upasana has her stance is different, her rhythm is different generally, and she talks in a different way. There's a musicality to the way she talks, and all that was given in the lines, for her, or in the situations, how she's reacting. So you just have to instinctively take that in and, sort of, reflect that through what you bring to on screen. But obviously there were, things like the accent and stuff. So actually completely coincidentally, I happened to go to Nepal literally 2 months before I was shooting for this film, because I was shooting another film in Nepal, and I was there for a month. So I just started picking up things that people would say a lot.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but certain words, certain phrases, certain slangs, those kind of things. And I would I had already started making notes. And then a friend of mine who's junior from FTI, Kepa Subba, he was Nepali and he was on that film with me. So I told him, and I worked with him on every line on voicemails every day. I would rehearse, and he would read the lines out. And multiple times, not just once. And another thing that really helped was I took a hairstylist, Maria, who is Nepali. So she really was my dialect coach on set. And after a shot, before looking at Nick, I would look at her, ki theek tha na? And I actually dragged her to my dubbing also. I was like, please, Bedja, please, bata de. And she helped me. I had pages and pages of slangs, and because I think a lot of the vernacular, a lot of the humor comes from that also, what she's saying at that time, and she's explaining with a slang and stuff like that. Yeah. So, I don't think I could have done it without them. And Maria helped in putting the costume together with me, which is what we wear in the end, and people, where we were shooting, there was a guy called Bimal who ran a cafe. He gave me his mother's clothes to wear, for the Nepali part, because he's Nepali. So I think a lot of people just came together to support the film and in portraying its authenticity. So, so eternally grateful to them now.
Okay, that's great. Lynn, asking you this, that have you ever in real life been on the receiving end of any kind of discrimination, even in the industry, if I may say so?
Oh yeah, that happens. I don't get lot of work because people don't write about the Northeastern people enough. Indians, we look because we look different, and that's a good enough, description for what you just asked me. I have done ads for Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, shot in Bombay. The casting directors were very confident about me doing those, but they would hesitate to send me out for an Indian looking or an Indian audience TVCs,
Yeah.
So I used to get a lot of calls, for TV commercials asking, would you like to play a Chinese, or would you like to play a spa girl? Would you like to play something which is a very stereotypical role? And I started turning it down. I made that choice. I'm turning down to, receiving payments. Those are money coming in, those are income. But I started making very conscious choices early on when I came, that I am not going to let myself, take away just because I want to make some money. And that's a good example of, being discriminated. And we have to gulp it.
Okay. So Vinay, I wanted to ask you this, that do you think it's the year 2020 and instead of, the racism or the discrimination going down, do you think it's increasing, like the recent incident that happened in the US and a lot of many incidents that have been happening? What do you think? Why is it still continuing for so long?
Well, it's been recorded and documented more than before, that's for sure. Is it happening more? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it used to happen a lot earlier also. And if you read the history, you'd realize, and there have been movements like this also before. If you read the history, you'd realize. And everywhere, why go to America? Look around us. We have come a long way, we've gotten a constitution in place, and still, we still have been fighting. If you remember, many years ago, there was one particular government that came on to this whole reservation saga, and so I'm not. I don't think that it's happening just now. It's just that we have too many platforms that it's being documented at and reported to, and then you're watching it more. The viewership has grown, yes, but it's been happening, and it's going to happen tomorrow and day after and many years after that. It's not going away so soon. That's why it's important to make films like Axone, to make films like 15, where we are documenting it with a shelf value, where our next generation would see that there's a movie like this. There's many years ago, there was a movie called Sangharsh, made by H.S. Ravel, the father of Rahul Ravel. And this film had Dilip Kumar, Vajanti Mala, Balraj Sahni, and Sanjeev Kumar, multi-star cast, and Jayant Saab, the father of late Amjad Khan Saab. And the film was about the corruption in Banaras. The main protagonist of the film was the son of this Panda in the temple. And it was a family feud story. Okay? I'm not going to say any more about the film. You go see the film, you realize that film is impossible to be made today.
Okay.
Can't be made.
Wow. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because we have so many different kinds of viewers and censorship and, ships. There are lots of ships sailing.
Yeah.
But has it increased? No. It's happening the same way.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. I'm not saying it's okay or normal. Yeah.
Okay.
So rightly put, Vinay.
Okay. A recent interview of director Nicholas, I was just watching, and he said that he didn't want to be partial when he was making the film. he also said that it's not like only Northeasterns face this kind of discrimination when they are out of their, hometown or their city, their place. But even the non-Northeasterns who are there, when they go to the Northeastern India, even they face some amount of it. What are your views on it? Do you think that it's completely true and a part of it, is shown in the film?
I think he can't be exactly saying this. I am pretty sure he said something in a bigger context. But what I would like to say is that it's not like when a community gets marginalized and discriminated against, there is no prejudice that they have also. There is a lot of internal politics that happen, is there within the community as well. And that's true about every community. I mean, so there is a lot of internal politics. When you see the film, that's what I was talking about, that Upasana's character who is a Nepali, who's a Nepalese, she also feels and sometimes made to feel like she's not one of them. She is an outsider. So there is a sense of us versus them or certain kind of prejudices with everyone. And that's why this film is so beautiful, because it's layered and it's so balanced, because it's never about us versus them. It actually says, like, there is one place in the film where somebody says that you have the right to cook your food, but they also have the right to not smell your food. So uska right hai, aur tumhara right hai, kiska right, so that's what it is, that it shouldn't be about us versus them. We all are prejudiced, irrespective of the fact whether we realize it or not, whether it's big or small, whether it's casual or violent or whatever it is. There is, but is that to say that but it's not even close to what the people from the Northeast states have been facing for decades in our country. I mean, till now people don't know the names of the Northeast states. People are calling them Corona in China. People are getting spat at. People are getting raped because they look like a certain way. So that and this cannot be measured in the same breath. It's not fair.
Yeah. Lynn, what about you?
Yeah, the intensity that we go through as, racism exists. We can't deny that it doesn't exist at certain area, and it does. We are all prejudiced. We are all into it. But intensity, I'm not gonna. I feel it's wrong to even say that it's zyada hota hai, kam hota hai. Any kind of racism is wrong. But yes, not being accepted in your own country, where you're born. I sang Jana Gana Mana, and many other people sang Jana Gana Mana in the, when we are at school. And when we came out from that place and we were so different and we were made to feel alien, was heartbreaking, that broke our heart. That is the thing why we are so, upset about. So, but the film, like Axone, will, it has opened up, Bollywood is something everybody wants to watch, and Bollywood and cricket in India is a huge thing. We have huge follower. So, and being on OTT like Netflix is going to help us connect to as many homes and as many people as we can, and hopefully, people will learn, the rest of India will learn something about our culture, learn a little bit about our people, accept, involve us in as many possible ways as we can, But we are one country. So we have to, and we are diversified, so we have to be together.
That's great. Also, the response has been great, and there's so much love that has been shared. Do you also think that, as you just mentioned, Lynn, that you hope that after people accept every culture a little more with open arms? So I just want to ask that, do you also think that there will be a difference in the perspective of the society after the film?
Yeah, this film is not enough to show every culture and every, all the 8 states together. But kahin na kahin ek dialogue to shuru hua hai.
Yeah.
we have
A conversation has
started something, at least a conversation has started. It could be a critical one, criticism bhi ho ya positivity, jo bhi response aa raha, at least people know that there are people like that, and these guys struggle, and we go through the amount of racism that we go through. It's shown in that picture, in that in that film.
Yeah.
So I feel this is it.
Okay. And
We're starting somewhere.
okay. And Vinay, what about you?
I completely agree with what Lynn is saying.
And
100%.
yeah. Okay. And Sayani, would you like to add something to it?
No, yeah, I think Lynn is bang on. It's not going to change overnight, but it's important.
It's important.
Keep talking.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Sayani, Vinay, and Lynn, for being with me today. It was great chatting.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Lots of love.